Hey everyone, I'm the Wandalier, and today I'm going to walk you through the process of making a wand from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is just select the pieces we're going to use, kind of get a bit of a vision for what we're going to make first. This one, I found this vintage fork. But I'd see if you can see that there. I love the way this handle sort of curves down, and it's got a really nice feel, and it's nice and wide there up the top. So I think it'll work really well for a wand. So I'm going to go for that. Probably what I'm going to look to do is saw that off directly, just there. Look for a way to join that really securely to a piece of wood. And next up is to choose the piece of wood that I want. Now with choosing the piece of wood, I kind of let the handle dictate that for me a little bit, because we've got this sort of a, the light cool feel with the silver. So I think maybe a darker piece. I'm going to go with some walnut that I have lying around. You'll notice it's not that long, but because we're just making the sort of the blade, I guess, of the wand, that's plenty long enough to get the job done. I've just moved in a little bit closer because I just wanted to show you some of the nice sort of figuring you can see there on that walnut. So the first bit of actual work I'm going to do on this is to cut this piece, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I just want to see if there's any opportunity inside here for some joinery. Now that's secured nice and tight, I'm going to start my sawing. I've got a hacksaw here. Make sure you have an appropriate blade for this. That's a good little tip that you can use for a hacksaw, is just to use the knuckle of your thumb as a guide to keep the saw blade exactly where you want it. There we go. So we've got that sawn off now. Inside there seems to be some sand. I wonder if that was just to weight the piece down. So because this is hollow, that's good news for me. Essentially what it means is that I can turn the piece of wood on the lathe to the same diameter as the inside of this hole. And that'll give me a really strong join when I put them together. So next up we've got our wood here. What I'm going to do is just find the center of this, because what I'm going to do is hammer home the driver of my lathe. The way that this works is the teeth here is what's going to actually rotate the piece around. So the teeth are going to grab into the wood. So you need to drive this into the end nice and securely. Now I'm just going to drill a tiny hole here just to help the end of that driver bit go in, and make it a little bit easy for the teeth to sink into the corners. That's all we need. Now you can just see the indentations where it's going to turn this piece of wood. Okay, now we're over at the lathe. I've got my piece of wood securely fastened in here, and I've done a couple of test turns to make sure it's not going to hit this guard, and we're going to start lathing. Before I cut too deep into this piece of wood with my tools, I feel like it's very important to actually point out at this point, you don't want to go too deep without knowing what your diameter is for the outside and the inside of this piece. The reason for that is that, so there you can see the inside diameter, it looks like it's about 10 mil, 10.8, it's a slightly sort of elongated, so 10.8. Outside we're looking at 12.7, 13.5. So I'm going to take the largest of those measurements and make sure that I don't go down below that with this. I'm going to do it bit by bit and make sure that we can sort of just have a seamless graduation from here onto the piece of wood. So I've started to get a bit of a shape going here with this piece. Now I've made sure that I haven't gone beneath those tolerances that I mentioned before. What I'm going to look to do now is just the very end of the piece, turn it so that I've got that inside diameter of this piece here. Okay guys, I'm just going to come in with some sandpaper now. What we've got here is this part is about 14.5 mil thick, and the thickest part of this here is about 13.5. So I left myself about 1 millimeter to sand the piece and get that really nice and smooth, and also the correct diameter. If you are sanding on a lathe, it's really important that you do this step. So I've got some 120 grit sandpaper here, and I've just been sanding it in this direction. Now, before I move up to the next grit, I actually need to make sure that I sand this way with the grain, because otherwise you're going to end up with some deep scratches that go in the direction of the lathe, and you actually can't really get them removed with the higher grit of sandpaper, or you can, but it takes a long, long time. As this next step is completely unnecessary at this stage, it's a little bit indulgent, but I just want to see what this is going to look like when I put some oil on it. I want to see if I'm happy with the colour, because the wand is going to be oiled as a finished product, but I want to know if I need to apply some dye first. So I'm going to be a little bit indulgent and whack some on. It's also not the safest thing I've ever done, but you keep the lathe at a very, very slow speed just to make sure. And now you can kind of see that wood grain popping out a little bit better. I'll move the camera and give you a bit of a better look. Now guys, when I look at the handle and the wood together, to me, I think that's really quite a good match. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here. I will just note at this point as well, there are two ways that you can get this part cut off. You can cut directly here, or you can actually use a bandsaw and cut along the length of this if you want that length on the end of the wand. As it is, I'm fairly happy with this length, so I'm going to take the easy way out and just cut that straight off. I've put them together and you can see that's fitting fairly snug, which is pretty good. So I've also used a disc sander and a belt sander over here just to get that point on the end of the wand, which I'm going to sort of hand sand in a little bit to make it a bit finer and re-oil. And then I've got something special planned for the middle here with a carver. Okay everyone, that's it for now. Thank you for hanging around in the Wandelier workshop. We've got a sort of a semi-finished product. I'm going to do a little bit more work on this, and you'll see a post soon with the final thing. I'm intending to do a little bit of carving to make it a little bit more intricate. Thanks again, and bye for now.